We go across. Kunal Bothra joining us this morning. Kunal, uh, hi, good morning. Sluggish set sort of market that we've seen. What next? I mean, how are you looking at this one now?
Good morning, Harsh.
Good
Yeah, it's
morning.
been a sort of a consolidative market for the last 50 to 53 or trading sessions. Doesn't come as a surprise that our markets continue to consolidate here. I think it's lack of triggers across the globe, triggers for our markets and specifically those large cap names acting as a drag for the index. No major change in terms of any data point. I was looking at the put call ratio also for the index, and specifically after yesterday's downtick on the Nifty, both in terms of the cash session closing as well as the intraday downtick for the indices. We're still at 0.7, 0.73 for the put call ratio. No major built up in terms of the open interest, where we can probably get a sense or a hang that the markets are looking at any kind of a major inflection point. So broadly, I think we would expect 24,000 as a key short-term support level until the time the index trades or just pivots around this level. We may expect this consolidation to continue.
Kunal, how do you look at the Nifty put call ratio as well? You're seeing a good amount of positions getting built at 24,000, which is a good support coming in. But at 24,200 and 24,300, you're seeing good action as well.
So, good morning, Sajid. So, I think it's exactly this point that our markets are trading with a very thin kind of a band. So, 24,000 and 24,300 is broadly 1%. Now, 1% is a range for the index. Now, the other data point is you look at the ATR, the average to range for the Nifty, where how much has been the fluctuation for the index post the first half an hour or 15, 20 minutes of the opening volatility, whether you're looking at a gap up or a gap down. That range for the index largely has been 40, 50 points for the index, which means that except for the first half an hour activity and maybe the last 15 minutes or half an hour of the activity for the index, the larger part of the trading session is very, very range bound. And that is exactly the reason why you're not seeing any too much fluctuation around the or built up in terms of the open interest for the puts and the calls. Now, the biggest data which I'm watching out for is the India VIX because over the last I think few weeks with the abatement of the news flow from the US Iran, the India VIX has kept on falling. We are almost at 10.5, 10.53 on the India VIX, and historically that level of sub 10 is acted as a bit of an inflection point for the index. So we've been falling in terms of the volatility. So that itself tells you that the market participants are expecting this range bound action to continue for some more time.
Picks, Kunal, for today's day of trade.
So one buy and one sell call. The first one, which I would suggest, would be Ban Mazagon Dock. So largely the theme of defense is something which continues to look attractive. Mazagon Dock, I think, is confirmed a breakout on the short-term charts. Expecting the stock to head towards 2,800 levels, which could be a decent 7%, 8% upside from the current levels. Stop loss could be kept at 25.70. The second would be a sell on Bharti Airtel. Now, from the large cap names, in fact, yesterday also, one of the major contributors on the downside for the Nifty 50 was Bharti Airtel in terms of point contributors. Continues to look slight weak on the short term charts, confirming a break or on the verge of a break below the major support of 1900. So, we look at 1870 as a near term target, stop loss at 1930.
Okay. I want to quickly take you through some of the blocks that are expected to happen today. Now, what we're expected to see is Prudential Corp sell around 2 odd percent stake in ICICI Prudential AMC. The conditions are what's fascinating, right? Prudential Corp, as of June of 2026, held a 34.6% stake in ICICI Prudential AMC. This 2% stake sale will take it down to 32.6, but they have the option to sell 0.6% within the next 60 days. There is a restriction beyond that, which is the balance 32%. They are not going to sell at least for another 60 days. So that should, in some form or shape, stabilize the way in which markets react to this. But another 0.5% likely block to come in the next 60 days, that'll keep markets on edge. So you could well see a reaction on ICICI Pru AMC. I wonder if it's a buy, but we'll come to that and we'll ask Kunal for a view on charts as well. iFinance is the other one. Now, relatively smaller company. By the way, for Prudential AMC, Prudential Corp, it's 3,000 crore, nearly 3,000 crore rupees of stake sale. So it's a large one which is coming on board. For iFinance, it's just a 320 crore stake sale, so relatively smaller in terms of size. 6% is the discount at which iFinance seller, Alpha Wave, which is a private equity, is likely to sell. And they are expected to sell the entire stake of 7.8%. They currently hold 7.8. They'll sell the entire stake. And if that happens, of course, the overhang goes away, which is a positive for iFinance if they're able to sell and offload all of it. We'll wait and watch as to how both of these stories play out. But first off, Kunal, just give us your take with regard to ICICI Pru AMC on if we were to see a dip on the stock. The discount is 2 to 7%. If we were to see a dip, go out and buy.
Yeah, largely so with the limited price history, Harsh, around 9 months, 10 months for the stock price, there's one level which has been established for ICICI Pru AMC, and that's closer to the 3,000 mark for the stock price. What's happened is that many a times the stock has gone through a big rally, but the rally has taken support closer to the 3,000 mark for the stock price. And then many a times when the stock has gone through a patch of consolidation or a drag, like for example, in the last 2 months, the month of June and July specifically, the stock went to a 200 point or a 300 point consolidation, and it took support at the 3,000 mark, just about the 3,000 levels, and then managed to see a bounce back. So this floor for the stock or a support range is 3,000 mark. Hopefully, I think if the stock corrects on the back of news flow, I don't expect too much of a heavy correction in the stock. But if it comes closer to this 3,000 mark, could be a good point where long-term traders could look to accumulate.
Also, the fact is that Prudential or ICICI Prudential AMC is required to bring down, the promoters are required to bring down the stake to 85% within 5 years of listing and to 25% within 10 years. So it's pretty much part of it. So it's not going to be a one-off thing. They're going to meet 85% with this stake sale, but there is additional 10% which will also come into the market over the next few years as and when the opportunity comes for the promoters, because ICICI Bank has made it clear that they want to maintain at least a 51% stake in ICICI Pru AMC. So the stake sale would primarily be from Prudential's point of view.
Well, yes, so you'll likely see ICICI Pru AMC and focus. The other one is Devyani Sapphire, right? I mean, you've got the merger metrics changing, and we'll have Snehi out there shortly to give us a view with regard to how both of those pan out. So you've got all of those playing out. Kunal, I wonder, the big buzzer in trade yesterday was a Kotak Mahindra Bank, right? 3.5 to 4%. And you've been bullish on this one, by the way. I recall you saying that. But the stock has seen some tailwind from the 370s, 380s levels. We're now closer to 420. What next on this one?
Yeah, I think, so in fact, 3 or 4 days back, we were flagging off that there has been a slight change in relative strength on the private sector banking names. And apparently, it's not coming from the likes of HDFC Bank or ICICI Bank. It's coming from the likes of Kotak Bank and slight tinge of positivity, which is coming back for Axis Bank also. So that's why we were bullish specifically on these two private sector banking names. Kotak Bank apparently has played out quite well. The stock has now, with the move of yesterday, around 3.5-4% for Kotak Bank. What it has done is it's come back above that, I think last month or the month of June highs for the stock when it was around 410, 412 mark as the resistance. And remember, I think from there, the stock had fallen down by almost 40 points. There was this news flow for Kotak Bank, which led into that 10% correction. So the stock managing to recover the entire loss, making a swing high, higher volumes for the stock, better indicator formations. I would believe that the setup looks quite attractive. But Kotak Bank is one kind of a stock where it provides that opportunity of a routine correction in between. So traders don't have to hurry and try and jump onto the breakout. You might wait for a couple of days, let the stock just about peg back a little, maybe a couple of percentage points correction. On the upside, I think 440 to 450 is where I would place a target. But buying on dips could be a better strategy for you.
Okay, so buy on dips from here with regard to Kotak Mahindra Bank, and that one will be in focus. What we'll do is slip into a very short break, come back, speak more. There's plenty to talk about. We'll get our researchers to get you some of the buzzing stocks. We'll get you the update on the Devyani Sapphire that we promised. There's been a tweak in terms of transaction mechanics there. Plenty to speak about. Stay with us.